How many veterans in the house? Wow. God bless every one of you. Thank you for your service. Shows I always try to do a song for Dad. And, you know, guys of that age group are really getting out of here. I mean, it's incredible the rate they're dying. And I don't know about you all, but I've got a special place in my heart for veterans, you know, because
Amen.
Not all that many years ago, I got a feeling we'd have all been goose stepping if it wasn't for men standing up and being counted. And I'll tell you a little story about this song before I do it. I wrote this with my old friend Larry Shell. And what I recall about it was in the summertime. It was like around maybe the 1st of June when he told me this song idea. I never thought it would make a song. He just said to me as I was leaving one day, he said, think about this. And he told me the title of this, and I thought, man, I don't know how in the world we could ever make a song out of that. And he said, Daddy was a Navy man, and he said, just don't respond to it, just think about it. So I went home, sure enough, and I got to thinking about it. And I knew Larry's dad was in the South Pacific in World War II. I knew my dad was in the South Pacific in World War II. And Daddy had a tale he always told me about a ship that broke apart in a typhoon in 1945, and the whole bow of it sunk. But they was able to get the watertight doors closed, and they was going to tow the rest of it back to Pearl Harbor. And Dad's little boat, the little ship he was on, was going to be the one that towed it, but they had an engine out, and they couldn't tow it. So I told Larry, I said, when you talk to your daddy, you asked him if he remembers anything about a ship sinking, because my dad couldn't remember the name of it. In 1945, in a typhoon, right at the end of the war, he called me back just in a day, maybe, and he said, Daddy said it was the USS Pittsburgh, and they were about 500 or 600 yards away from it. Now, that's a heck of a thing to me. These people were that close together and never knew one another, and yet me and this fellow that I wrote this song with, who was my best friend probably in the music business. I mean, lucky I've had some great ones, but I've written more songs with him, could come together like that to write this song. And I'm happy to say that both these men, before they left here, got to hear this song. Some days I can do it, some days I can't. I'm going to try to do it for you. This is for all veterans. I don't care what branch of service you was in. I don't know why he liked the water. He never seen the ocean before. But he was young and thirsty for adventure, and our country was at war. The poster in the window promised a chance to see the world, and he figured that he had a score to settle for the boys who died at Pearl. And he's proud, and so am I, that he went and did his part. And I love to hear the stories he could tell of typhoons, tattoos, geisha girls, and battles he'd been in. Okinawa, Iwo Jima, and Saipan. And for the longest time, He wouldn't drive a car made in Japan. Daddy was a Navy man. Says it was just his duty, and that's why he volunteered. And when you're 17 years old, you're just too dumb to be scared. There's a friend he talked about and said he'd see again someday. 'Cause you know old sailors never die. No, they just sailed away. And he's proud, and so am I, that he went and did his part. And I love to hear the stories he could tell of typhoons, tattoos, geisha girls, and battles he's been in. Okinawa, Iwo Jima, and Saipan. For the longest time, he wouldn't drive a car made in Japan. Daddy was a Navy man. Ooh, my daddy was a Navy man. Good night, Dad.
Larry Cordle. Larry Cordle. Thank y'all. God bless y'all. Thanks for being here tonight.
Man, that was mighty fine. Y'all give it up. I told you, y'all were in for a treat.